Hi, I'm Carrie Daniel with Gate College System, and I'm here with Brian Safdari. And today we are going to talk about the 3 types of aid that all parents must know about in order to not go broke paying for college. So Brian, what are the 3 types of aid?
Awesome. Let's go into the 3. Number 1 is need-based financial aid. That's based on the financial aid forms you must submit. The second one is institutional merit. It's money that's provided to you by the institution, the college. The third one is merit aid, which is why I love how GATE brings that one into the picture to make sure we get the maximum amount of financial aid a parent would be eligible for. So we don't want to leave any money on the table. We don't want to leave things to chance and hope. So that's why we're going to dive in and talk about the 3 merit institutional need-based banks that the colleges have so that you can get almost a full ride in many cases if you know what you're doing.
So let's do it. Let's start with need-based aid. How about that?
Awesome. Need-based aid is FAFSA, CSS profile, institutional forms, and all those forms that you submit, that would qualify you for need-based financial aid. Under the need-based category, you have federal aid such as the Pell Grant, you have the Cal Grant if you're in California, or if you're in other states, you have state grants that are based off need-based. Then the college itself also can provide you with need-based financial aid. So a little bonus I can give you here, you want to find out from the school how much need-based financial aid they provide, what types of students last year received it. By knowing this data, you can actually know in advance before you submit the financial aid forms, roughly how much need-based grants you can receive. So need-based is a huge one that there's a lot of control that we can do in order to qualify. Let me give you an example. Last year I had a family, they make $96,000 a year in income. By the way, a mistake on the financial aid forms is adjusted gross income is important when you're submitting the financial aid forms. So let's talk about the income. The family makes $96,000 a year. They came to me and said, Brian, we want to get financial aid. We were told that we can get need-based grants. I said, sure, you might qualify for need-based grants, but let's not leave things to chance and hope. Let's go in and figure out how to position ourselves to get more need-based. So they live in California. Their top school is USC, and they're looking at other colleges in California. So what we did was we looked at the income. This is in the mid-year, I'm talking to the family. And the dad and the mom says, we usually make about $96,000 a year. I said, okay, we have a problem. And they said, what's the problem, Brian? I said, our income is about $2,000 to $3,000 above the income ceiling to qualify for Cal Grant. And if they did not come to me earlier, or if they did not know the strategy that I'm about to share with you, they would have lost a lot of money. So here's a tip for you guys. You want to make sure you know the income ceilings to qualify for need-based grants. So what we did was we looked at the income ceiling for Cal Grant. What we went through the tax returns, we realized that they were about $2,000 to $3,000 above. The dad owns his own business. So what we did was the dad took on a few additional expenses in his business that he usually does not do, and he's been always wanting to take that extra investment in his business. So he spent $2,000 to $3,000 in his business, brought his income lower to the income ceiling for Cal Grant, and that at USC provided him over $12,000 in need-based grant. So that's an example of how to take control to qualify for need-based grants.
Okay, got it. Tell us a little bit about institutional aid.
Let's do it. Institutional aid is another big bank in the college. This is the area that a lot of parents and students don't know about, because most of the time you hear about FAFSA, you hear about the stuff that you have to fill out a financial aid form, you hear about federal aid and state aid, but there's a lot of parents who make over $100,000, $150,000 a year, and they don't think they're going to get grants and financial aid. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you understand that there's institutional aid that's provided by the college. You can make $250,000 a year, and the school, because college is a business, don't forget, college is a business, a very successful one, and you must understand how to play the game. So you want to make sure that even if you're really high income, the colleges want you. They want you because they know that you might contribute back you might become an alumni, you might stay in nicer dorms. So it's their way of saying, we want this income level family because our stats show that the higher income families actually spend more. When they spend more, that means more profit to the school. So they have no problem giving you a discount. So you want to make sure that you always fill out all the different financial aid forms, especially if you're applying to like USC and the private schools that require the CSS profile. That's how you end up getting the institutional grants and scholarships that virtually is available to all income level families. Doesn't matter what your income is, doesn't matter what your assets are. It doesn't even matter what grades your student has. Let me give you one quick example of this. A student, her name's Natalie, she applied to Pepperdine, which was her #1 school, and she had a 3.3 GPA. GPA was lower, and the dad said, well, we're Hispanic. Would that help? I said, Jose, if you're Hispanic, going to a Southern California school, I'm sorry, you're not considered a minority. You're not going to get scholarships because minority. So that was just his perception that maybe he can get some grants from the school. I said, let's do something different. Let's position you, because the student, Natalie, wanted to go into engineering. We submitted the forms, and because of that, Natalie's Hispanic, female, going into the engineering department. Because of that, the school said, we want more minorities in the engineering department. And because of that, we got $22,000 in free money every year, all because of that institutional positioning. So we positioned her in the engineering department, and for that reason, she's considered female, Hispanic, and engineer, and we were able to get $22,000 in institutional scholarships from the university.
Do you have any more advice regarding institutional aid?
Yes, contact the financial aid office, do your research on their website, and look at how much money they provide. Schools also, if you probe deeper and ask the right questions, it's all about asking the right questions. If you know how to ask the right questions, it can provide you so much good information to almost pay nothing to go to college in some of these cases. So one of the questions you want to ask for institutional aid is, what percentage of students received institutional scholarships from your university? And then you want to probe deeper by saying, what do I need to do as a student or a family to qualify for any of the scholarships that are available by the school? By asking these questions, you can actually capture a lot of good information that can provide you with the resources you need to send your child and basically not go broke. And that's what we want to do.
Fantastic. Let's talk a little bit about Merit Aid.
I love Merit Aid, and that's where GATE comes in, because Merit Aid is that third piece. It's like a chair. Think about a chair. If you have a chair and you have one leg on a chair, that chair is going to be wobbly. So if you have 3 legs to a chair, you're more sturdy, we can sit still, we're not going to fall off. The analogy I'm using is you want to think about it as maximizing need, merit, and institutional aid. On the Merit Aid, it's a big angle to position the student to get more grants and scholarships. I'll give you an example. We had a student that had a 1050 on the SAT scores between the critical reading and the math. And that's where GATE is the best at this part, is positioning students and parents in advance so that you can increase those scores. By increasing those scores, it means increasing a lot of money. So 200-point increase allowed that student to receive about $12,000 in a merit scholarship, all because understanding the nuances around merit scholarships.
Right.
So grades count, test scores count, the academic part of it is a huge part, and that's why I've positioned myself working with GATE, because I can't do the whole process, and it's like that chair. I need that extra leg to be able to help families so that we can maximize the aid and minimize the out-of-pocket costs so that parents can actually fund college and be able to focus on their retirement and not go broke.
And all this preparation needs to start on the early side, right?
The earlier you can start, the better. Again, that PPY system starting 2 years in advance. Even on the merit side, specifically merit, parents should be starting in 8th and 9th grade. If you're not starting in 8th and 9th grade, you're missing the boat, because there are things you can do so that you can increase your GPA and your test scores, because it takes time to increase those. So when you work with GATE and when you work with professionals in that area, you can actually increase your grades cumulatively so that by the senior year, you have the highest GPA you can potentially get, you get the highest test scores, and that's how you bring that extra leg to give you more grants and financial aid in that merit category.
We're so glad to have you on the team, Brian. Thank you so much for being here today. And that's all for today with GATE, and we'll see you next time.